Right now, you're accountable to nobody. You get up when you want to get up. You go to bed when you want to go to bed. Maybe you show up for work, or maybe you don't. You can't get fired. Unless they catch you having sex with a fucking dog in the goddamn lobby, you can't get fired. Now, what kind of accountability is that? It's none. Hence, ergo, your whole life is fucked up. And then you complain. We are not here today to learn how to be in the top 2%. We're here to learn how to be in the top 0.2%. This is bullshit. This is the dogma that you've been taught. Most of you would sign a deal, a contract today for the students for a 6-figure income and wouldn't even ask what I had to do. We have young people in university making $1 million a year while they go to school. We're going to show you some of them while they go to school. For those of you that are in your second year of a 4-year education, I recommend you drop out of school. This is why the university never asked me back twice. Now, this is what you've learned so far in life. This is your sum total of your total knowledge. Shit. That's it. That's it. And life is not a journey. It's only a journey if you're a retard. If anybody in the audience has retarded children, I don't mean it that way. You're fucking retarded. Life doesn't have to be a fucking journey. By the way, I have a gripe with Howard Stern. We negotiated for several weeks about me being on his show. And then somehow he found out, whatever he found out about me, and he decided not to have me on the show. So I wanted to take this personal opportunity, time to slag him off and say that all the staff are assholes and pricks for jerking me around. Most of you have not attained material wealth because you've stayed in your comfort zone. Every family has an aunt, an uncle, a grandfather that went out and lost a family fortune, right? Uncle Harry, crazy Harry, he lost 20,000, 50,000, $1 million, whatever the number is. Well, that resonates in you, in your brain, your little pea brain. And then you hear another one. Your roommate in college, he's got an Uncle Harry. So pretty soon, the only input that you have is people losing their family fortune. That affects you, i.e., you then live within your comfort zone, i.e., you don't take risks. A turtle can only move forward when it sticks its head and its feet out. And when it sticks its head and its feet out, it's most vulnerable, right? Biggest risk. Most of you have lived a bubble-wrap life. Most of you have been risk-averse. Risk-averse to the extent there are people beyond my comprehension that get all the way through high school with never been screamed at, never been slapped, never been in a fight, never been reprimanded by their parents. And then look at them. Snowflakes. Snowflakes meaning they melt under pressure. And some parents in this room, if I ask them, why are your kids all fucked up? You can tell me why. I wasn't hard enough on them. I gave them everything on a silver platter, etc., 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 etc. And then we get this, we get you. And when I say the world is through, look at you. The reason why the aliens haven't come down and taken us over, what the fuck did it, why? Why? Are they going to learn anything? No. When I was a kid, they said I was retarded. They stood me in the corner with a dunce cap. People know what a dunce cap is? You know, okay. And if I turned around, they put me in a closet. Kept me there 4, 5, 6 hours. I urinated on myself. I shit my pants. until my parents came to pick me up. Now just imagine if that had fucking happened to you. But I used it. It's not what happens to you in life, it's how you interpret what happens. I made it make me stronger, tougher, smarter. Most people would just collapse. When I was an athlete, if you could call it that, I had little or no athletic ability. All I remember is I wasn't good enough to be on the varsity team. I played junior varsity baseball, and it's the bottom of the ninth, and we're ahead 2-1. The bases are loaded for the other team, and all I could think is, please, God, don't let him hit it to center field. They hit it to center field, and I dropped the ball. We lost 3-2. That's my athletic prowess I had. When I played football, American football, Coach Roy J., may he roast in fucking hell wherever he is, he says, Pena, you're so fucking slow, you ought to wear the other team's jersey. Do you understand what that means? You're such a poor athlete, put the other team's jersey on. You're no fucking good for us. But I kept on going, hitting that line. Boom. You know when they have the tackling exercise, one guy in the middle, and everybody just, I was that guy every motherfucking day. If that had happened to you, I know what you do. Some of you would have committed suicide. But it made me stronger. Yes, I'm 6'1", 225, a twisted steel and panther piss at age 73. But I endured all this stuff. People don't lack brains or intelligence, they lack leadership. I'm the alpha male dad that most people never had. And I don't want any more kids, believe me. Sally and I just, I train about 100 of you a year, and that's about all I can take before I commit suicide. Just imagine dealing with meatheads like you every fucking day, every hour. Meathead after retard, after imbecile, after idiot. Just think of that. There's not enough money in the fucking world. But when I started this 25 years ago, I said, I'm going to change it from personal development to financial coaching, and I was going to lead the planet in it. And I do. Why doesn't anybody else talk about numbers? Why are all the blogs, the podcasts, the books, etc. that you bought from these fucking morons never talk about creating any numbers? Because they haven't created any. Personal development was an invention by W. Clement Stone in the 50s, who ran a company called Combined Insurance. He hired a defunct, bankrupt Napoleon Hill for marketing. We got to come up with an idea so our insurance guys can sell more insurance. So they thought, and they came up with the idea. Which one of them came up with it? I don't know which. But W. Clement Stone told me this before he died in 2001. Personal development. You can't measure personal development. The morons will eat it up like ice cream. You can't fucking measure it. How do you measure personal development? You don't, you fucking retards! You cannot measure personal development. And here you are. Now think about that. Or don't think too hard because you don't have even that many brain cells. But just if you weren't afraid. QLA works for not just money. This kid came to me 2 years ago. He had never finished higher than 20th in university archery. He was on the archery team in Britain. Never finished higher than 20th in any meet he'd ever attended. This is him finishing first in Great Britain. A year and a half later. First, the little skinny wimp. Fucking retard. He couldn't even pull the fucking thing back. I didn't realize, they've got 60-pound bows. So he goes and gets a 140-pound bow. Well, he doesn't weigh 140 pounds. Finished first. He was firing 50 to 100 arrows. I said, you fire 500 arrows a day for the next year and you'll win. His little arms would quiver. Couldn't get the fucking thing back. Blisters cut through his hands. But he's the champ now. This is better for fat broads cutting weight off like a chainsaw off their big asses. This is a University of Columbia professor. She thinks I'm Jesus Christ. We just take that, I got a change up. No. Cut that shit off. And, I got one too. And this is the one, anemic, sick, triathlon champion now. Your goal has got to be high standards. Mr. Carnegie was a hard bastard. Vanderbilt was a hard bastard. Henry Ford I was a hard bastard. Rockefeller was a hard bastard. Steve Jobs was a ruthless hard bastard. As Apple CEO Cook regularly begins sending emails at 4:30 in the morning on Sunday, he's a hard bastard. Why are all these guys that changed the world got one thing in common? They're fucking tough as nails. Ruthless. Take no prisoners. And then we got you. A stiff drink and a good fuck could kill most people in this room. I'm ashamed to say. In fact, forget the stiff drink, just a good fuck. Yeah, he says if you don't want success like you want air in your fucking lungs, then you ain't gonna be successful. All-nighters. Okay, no, and then he complained. No friends, nothing. Elon Musk reveals the lonely 24 hours in his bed working. That's on his birthday. Oh, terrible. At an interview in the New York Times, he's talking about 120-hour weeks. This is the way it is. But the rewards are overwhelmingly worth it. You're robbing the banks without a gun and a mask. What are you going to tell your children? What are you going to tell your grandchildren? 20 years from now, Daddy, Grandpa, what were you doing during the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of the fucking planet? Other than having your thumb up your fucking ass. What are you going to tell them? Oh, I was thinking about it. I was spreadsheeting it. I'm proud to say I haven't done a spreadsheet in 10, 15 years. Go read another book. Go listen to another, read a blog, listen to a podcast. Ben Franklin's. Oh, I get it's sexual experience when I look at that slide. Now, whoops. God damn it. That's what I want you to be. But this is non-PC, isn't it? I want you to be, instead of cocaine, I want you to be snorting up bills. Then why are we here? To chill? We were up in Verona, Italy, waiting for a glass of wine. We climbed this Roman ruins. We were there to go on the Orient Express, the train, and we waited 45 minutes to get served. And Sally turns to me, she says, I think this is chilling. 45 minutes to get a fucking drink. I was just about to choke the girl, which I've been accused of doing, not recently, but accused. If that's chilling, and I don't carry cell phones, I don't use cell phones, I don't carry, I'm out of contact. I have 3 assistants that handle my life. My life is divided up. I do not do anything. I delegate everything except wiping my ass. And in Asia, I didn't wipe my ass even. I delegate everything. I don't do anything. I don't know how to do anything when a young girl was coming. You want me to love? No, I don't want to. I'm not going to touch any of that shit. No, it's all right, fine. If it doesn't work, I don't need it. It's fine. I can do it without the slides. I delegate everything in my life. Similar to Steve Jobs only wore black, remember? Zuckerberg now is kind of copying that. But Sally picks all my clothes. She dresses me. This suit is a $50 billion man suit. The pinstripes say $50 billion man. I mean, I don't do anything except think about how to make you retards better. You know why I have a sore back? 25 years of carrying you fat asses across the goal line. 25 years. And not everybody deserves to be alive. So let's get that fucking thing straight right now. And if you think that, you're retarded. Some of you should have rolled down the inside of your fat mama's leg. And that's the God's truth. Whoops. And I continue to press myself. Now, this is 2014. We're in New Zealand, and I see a poster about bungee jumping. And I said, oh, Sally, I got to do that. And Sally says, turn around. And it's right here. This is where the bungee jump. So I got to do that. So the next morning, I'm in line. There's about 50, 60 millennials, kind of like you guys. And they're all saying the winds were gusting 40 to 60 miles an hour. And you can't jump. So all the millennials will go, oh, when that fucking wind dies down, I'm going to jump that motherfucker. I'm going to jump. They're all dancing around. So I wait about 10 minutes. I take a $100 bill. I walk up to the head of the line. I said, don't you think that the wind's died down now? He said, I believe it has, sir. I jump. Okay? I come back. These guys are still saying, well, did you jump? I didn't know the wind died down. But when it dies down the next time, I'm going to jump that motherfucker. I believe with all my heart, some of those guys are still in line waiting. And then one of you introduced me to the stratosphere in Las Vegas, where you jump 855 feet off a tower. And I well, shit, I got to do that. Unfortunately, I hurt myself when I jumped because I just had my knees put in. And when you jump, you're supposed to land like that. I didn't land like that. I landed favoring this leg, and I did on the YouTube, we cut that part out when I fell into the ground. That part we don't show. But Sally said, I'd go on, why don't you watch how these guys are landing, Dan? No, I don't want to lose focus. I only want to go up to the top and watch them jump. Because I knew that if I watched them landing and some of the people getting hurt, that I didn't want any negative thoughts running through my head. But it's a great rush. It's a great rush. I drove by a college today and I yelled, boo. 35 people went to the hospital. 734 needed crisis counseling. 429 needed a safe area or room. And classes were canceled for a week. There are universities that I've spoken at that have safe floors. The third floor in the physics building in Krakow University has a safe floor. If life gets too tough for them, they go to that floor to chill. The Air Force Academy has safeguards. We have a Naval Academy guy, so he said that they pull when they're being beat up too much. Enlisted men going through boot camp have safeguards that they pull. We're lucky we don't go to war with fucking Russia. They'll eat our lunch. They're going to eat us alive. We're lucky. There are no safeguards in life. I tell the kids all the time, if we were at war, we'd all be dead. See, you're used to making mistakes, and nothing happens. For the few of you in the military in here, you know mistakes can cost lives. Now, for the guys in the room, put your hands up like this, and look at your left hand. Don't tell me, just look at your left hand. And if this finger isn't longer than this finger, you squat the P. Okay. This isn't Dan's measurement. This is proven. It's a testosterone test. Some people ask why I tried to gain 10. I gained 10 pounds over when we took for my birthday a few weeks ago, and we went on the Orient Express, which is a tremendous experience if you can afford the suites. If you can only be in the rooms are about This big. And you don't have a toilet. You have to share a toilet with 40 people. Okay? So I'm eating, drinking, gaining weight because I had my bloods, my physical, 3 or 4 times a year, and my blood panels came back. I have the blood panels of a 30-year-old. And they have a testosterone of a 15-year-old. Testosterone's off the chart. I mean, literally. Testosterone, 3 to 800 is normal. 800 is, mine is 15 to 1800. Yes. And it starts with that hand. Now, I didn't even know this. One of you sent me this test. Of course, he had a hand that was... It's like the snowflake test. I'm not going to ask you how many of you have taken the snowflake test on my site. 95% of the snowflake tests have come back snowflakes. 95%. Now, one of the questions, I'm paraphrasing it, if somebody calls your mama a whore, what do? And then they have different answers. The most common answer I get from you kids is, I would try to ascertain where he was coming from if he had a bad day. Are you shitting me? Somebody calls your old lady a hoe. So you're going to try to figure out whether he's had a bad day or not. Now, where I come from, there's only one way that can end, and it's ugly. Either he's in the hospital or I'm in the hospital. I got a cousin, Ronnie, God love him. He stabbed the guy, when we were 15 years old, stabbed the guy 17 times for telling him his girlfriend had a fat ass back in 1961. By the grace of God, Ronnie couldn't stab shit well, the guy didn't die. So they come up and say, well, what does it take? Is it to spit in your mother's face? Or grab her by the tit? Or what does it do to invoke some kind of action out of you? Fucking weenies. 95%. And the success test only has a 95% accuracy whether you're going to be successful or not. Only 95. It's really 99, but the lawyers tell me I can only say 95. Take the success test. Most of you ought to blow your brains out. Metaphorically. 30 years ago, men had 118 pounds pressure in a handshake. Women had 108. 118, 108. 1986. 2016, men had 94, and women had 100. All the tests for masculinity have gone down. Sperm count, baby births, blah, 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 blah. When I tell you we're through, we're through. Not just because I got a wild hair up my ass. I'm not going to go through all the scientific bullshit. But here you are with your dreams. You got to go through your relatives, your friends, the pessimists in the world, your own guilt, fear, society in general to get your goals. No wonder not many of you do. Some of you can relate to one more than others. Most of you in this room have been fucked up by your families. And then your friends. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And then just general society. For the youngsters in the room, they say, oh, don't be in a hurry. You've got the rest of your life. That's bullshit. That's a loser, 35, 45-year-old telling you he's a loser because he didn't do it when he was 25. I came, this was my dad. This is your dad. Quite a difference, don't you think? My dad saved the world. Generation saved the world. What did your dad do? And would I start coaching and mentoring again? No. This is the worthless, most thankless job that was ever created on the planet. Try to teach retards how to have self-esteem. I would never do it again. Never. But when I do something, I'm the best. Now, I'm not recommending you do this, but for those of you that might have a pair, go home when next time you're alone with your mom, because your dad will lie to you. Ask him 3 things. Was I wanted? Which means, was I an accident? But don't use that word, because that word doesn't go too well with the moms, okay? Number 2, do you want me to grow up to be just like you? And number 3, why didn't you do any better than you did? And I can tell you the answer. I did the best I knew how. You don't know what you don't know. So what they're really saying is that they're excuse for fucking you up. Dr. Teeter, you know Danny Pena, Dan Pena a long time, since I've known Danny a long, long time. What have you seen the difference in him in the last 25, 30 years? And she looks right into the camera again, says the only thing that's changed with Danny is his accomplishments caught up with his big fucking mouth. Now, this is the dean of the motherfucking School of Business. I've just been nominated the most distinguished alumni in the history of the cocksucking school. And she says, my accomplishment was caught up with my big fucking mouth. I never heard her say a swear word in all the years I knew her. Some people will never like me, and I will never give a fuck. The world will not value me until I value myself. Confidence is not they will like me. Confidence is I'll be fine if they don't. Success is like being pregnant. Everyone says congratulations, but nobody knows how many times you got fucked. Now, what the fuck happened? Oh my God. I mean, come on, guys. Of course, now we've had people. You want to do that? That's fine. But we have limits who we let into the castle seminar. That's why we ask for a picture, a photograph. Okay? I don't care if you're transgender. None of that. I don't give a shit. As long as you don't impose it on anybody else. But if you look like this, you can't come. You can't come. I was stripped naked in front of you. Okay, thank you. Okay, I can't get a job because Trump is a racist. Now, I didn't see any of these at BU. BU is not the kind of place that the people run around like this. And then, of course, this is Sally and I were in Amsterdam. We were in Amsterdam, remember? And I couldn't believe it when the parade. We were in Amsterdam a few years ago. And everybody, I don't give a shit what you do in your own privacy. I don't care. I don't care how you dress. You just can't come to my place that way. That's fine. Some of you are unemployed. And you went to school. There's something not right about that. And it's because the system is busted. And you're going to now be able to go home if you still live at home. And I don't know how you can live at home if you're past 17, 18 years old. But I know some of you are in your 30s and you live at home. How do you get laid? Well, I mean, when you're living at, I don't get that. And if you're married and your mom and dad are humping, I mean, do you take turns humping or what do you do? I don't understand it. I know kids, I know guys my age that have kids in their 30s living at home. Now, maybe they swap off. I don't know. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. The kids follow your lead. And if you're not home much and they just see your wife, they follow her lead. And love doesn't get the job done. And being a nurturing mother doesn't get the fucking job done. Because a lot of you had nurturing mothers, and now look at you. I had a nurturing mother, but I had a dad that kicked the shit out of me. Beat me like a rented fucking mule. And if my father was still alive, and I have uncles, and they'd say, Manny, you're too hard on Danny. And he would say, just as he looked into the camera and said, my son's successful not because of me, but in spite of me, he looked him in the eye and says, how's your program working out with your crackhead fucking whore daughter?
Hi, Dan. Thank you for taking the time to come here. My question is this. I'm in the healthcare business. We trade medical imaging equipment. Now, it's a family business, and my father's the head of it, and you're the only person who I've found outside of my head who has the same point of view on engineers. So what would your advice be to me to try and take...
Well, either leave or buy your dad out. Throw him out, kick him to the curb. Not in a nice way, but kick him to the curb.
All right, got it. Thank you.
See, because a business broker gets paid as a percentage of the sales price. Mm-hmm. Okay. But that's a perfect avenue to find motivated sellers.
So keep...
Correct. And cold call. Yeah. You know, when our children finished undergraduate school, and they both worked before they went on to graduate school, I told both Kelly and Derek, make 300 cold calls a day, and you'll lead the nation in sales or in anything you do. 300 cold calls a day. And that's getting through to somebody, not leaving a message, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit.
And they both did. You cannot, even if you're a retard like you guys, if you make 300 legitimate cold calls, you'll make $1 million a year, no problem. And that's not a lot of money, and I say that begrudgingly, but to most people it is. That's 1,500 cold calls a week. That's 6,000 fucking cold calls a month. That's 72,000 cold calls a year. If you can't make $1 million, you ought to kill yourself, metaphorically speaking. Lithuania, Hungary, Romania, those countries, it's harder. Oh, the best deal in 25 years was just done by one of my Hungarian mentees, and he just did the second best deal in 25 years on top of that deal, and he's a little shit. Peter, if you're listening, I mean, he didn't have enough self-confidence to fucking brush his own teeth. And now he's a wealthy guy on the cover of Hungarian Business, and he did it without paying one bribe. So, but you got to follow your heart. I don't mean a lovey-gushy way for your mom. You got to follow your heart. Because in 25 years from now, your mother's going to be dead.
I know.
And you're going to regret that you spent any fucking time with her.
Yep.
I'm in the regret minimization business. What are you going to tell your grandkids during the greatest transformation of fucking wealth in the history of the planet? What were you doing other than having a thumb up your ass?
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're through. And that's why, even though in theory we should be able to kill off the Russians easy, but we won't kill off the Russians because they're tough. They're tough. Now, when I went through Ranger School, they hung us from trees and put battery wires on our testicles. There are dozens and hundreds of lawsuits against the federal government because the guys couldn't have kids. They'd stake us out on anthills and pour honey over us and let the ants eat us for 2 or 3 days. This was the fucking training. And now, and you're right, when the spirit of the bayonet used to be to kill, and you're going through a boot camp, many a broken tooth, cracked jaw, because your drill sergeant hit you in the face with the butt of the rifle. And now you wonder why we're all cunts. That's why I bring my own fucking security. I'm not ignoring you. In Toronto, somebody finally asked me, well, why did you bring the cricket bat? Fucking snowflake. I said, because your school told me I should have security, which they did. I'm not going to pay a bunch of fucking goons. No, I can do the same as they can. And I said, and then somebody asked me about 20 minutes, well, what do you do with a cricket bat? I swear to you. And then I jumped down off the stage, and I said, because the first 5 or 6 of you aren't going to come at me, even though there's 400 of you, because you don't want to be the first 1, 2, or 3 that I knock their head off. But they had to ask me what I was going to do with a fucking cricket bat. It's a numbers game. Josh Kim makes 30 to 50 cold calls a day today, and he's rich. He makes them from his plane now. What have you done in the last 3 years? Nothing. He was 7. Doesn't that resonate in your fucking fucking brains, rotted brains? He was 17 fucking years old. Now he flies around in a motherfucking jet. You should be embarrassed. Jesus Christ. And he's just one. I got a bunch of them. But they followed the steps. But when our daughter went here, they said we used to go across the river to see if we could find our future husband.
To Harvard?
Well, Harvard, MIT, those schools over there. Yeah. But I mean, no Harvard guy'd ever marry our daughter. I mean, if she ever got kidnapped, they'd give her back in 2 hours. I mean, Kelly's a tough bitch. He knocks at our door at 1:30 in the morning, right? Screaming and yelling. I get up out of bed. Sally gets up out of bed. And I'm going to throw him off the balcony. For those, we live on the second floor in the balcony, and Sally, needless to say, I'm not putting words in her mouth. She's sitting right here. We don't need that. And so Sally walks him down the staircase and out the door. He's being a psycho. What I didn't know is he went into 2 or 3 other rooms to harass people. One of which a good-looking doctor, a lady doctor. 6 grown men were within earshouting. Between where you are sitting, Jason, Tom, you. Bedrooms on the same floor. Not one single man, except one, came out to see somebody getting raped, killed, or murdered. One guy who came out to take pictures, the little shit tried to kill. This is a little skinny shit about your size. We had 3 big black dudes, brothers. Not a one that's got any testicles. The next day, when the police drug him off, as you see on the internet, he said he was going to cut the eyes out of the black brothers and eat them. Okay? He said, I'm waiting for you at the airport, assholes. I'm going to kill you all. Now, we got 19 people in that fucking seminar room. 3 big black dudes. They were changing their airline tickets so they didn't have to fly out of Edinburgh. As God is my witness. This little shit, I could snap his neck like a fucking pencil. That's why I say, when I say you got no balls anymore, you got no balls anymore. My wife drags the guy down the fucking staircase. And you're all there huddled someplace, putting furniture against the door. When I say you're through as a race, I mean you're fucking through.